So in the growth phase, now everything you did in the iteration and reducing cost phase is done. You're getting good size bookings, you're booked out most of the time, and we've learned this in the last few months especially. Maximum occupancy could be your goal, but it doesn't necessarily have to be your goal, and you can figure that out while you're iterating. What are the best bookings to get? What are the most profitable? What are the easiest? What are the hardest? What minimum night stay you should do? What cleaning costs you should do? Figure those things out in the iteration stage. So by the time you get to the growth stage, you know what you're doing. You know how the property should run. You know what kind of services you should offer. You can still add more. You're still going to be continually iterating as you go through the process, but you have the major things set and down, so you're not going to waste a whole lot of money duplicating that somewhere else. So you don't want to rush the growth stage. Be really patient in making the first thing you're doing or the first property you're doing good. It doesn't have to be amazing, but it does have to be good. It has to be good enough. It doesn't have to be people are just absolutely fantastically happy with what you're doing, but they do have to be not pissed off. They do have to be at a minimum level of happiness, and it's running well, and costs are reduced to the point where you're not going to be wasting lots and lots of money moving forward. So that's how you know when you should be going to the growth stage. Now, how this works in practice is you're just doubling what you're doing. You don't have a plan that says, look, I'm doing this, but if we add something else, we'll have 10 times. No. That's not how business works. You're just doubling exactly what you're doing. If exactly what you're doing is not working and you think, well, if we do it somewhere else and then that's going to double it, no, it won't. You need to improve what you're doing now. Once what you're doing now is working just good enough, then you can double it. But all growth is going to be is taking what you're doing, putting it somewhere else. There should be no guesswork or very little guesswork in the growth phase. It shouldn't be, if we do this, we'll get 10 times the sales. No, it should be, if we have one, we make this. If we have two, we'll make double this. That's it. It's very, very, if you're not at that stage yet, then you need to iterate further. But once you're at that stage, it's just doubling down, doing exactly what you're doing at a larger scale. Now, what comes along with that is cheaper costs. That's when you can really buy in bulk. That's when you can bring in people for a team. That's when you can start structuring more of a complicated business structure or company structure. That's when you can start hiring, say, an accountant or someone to do payroll. That's when you can hire cleaners on more of a full or part-time basis and offer more services for the guests. But you can't get to that point until the first one's running really, really well. So in the growth phase, all you're doing is doubling what you're already doing. You're not trying to come up with a whole new idea and just test something out. You've already tested, you've already made sure it works, and you're just doing that again and again and again. And you can do it as many times as possible. And the more you get in the growth phase, the goal is that the more is added, the cheaper things become through economies of scale. So you can share the resources among a few. And that should improve the experience. And you have to remember that the three things you're thinking about in business is, are we making money? How much are we spending? And how fun is it? How fun is the business? And that should be a metric that you track. How fun is running this? Because if it's not fun, that doesn't mean you don't need to do it, but you do need to change something so it becomes more fun. It has to be fun. Has to be fun. It has to be a metric that you're tracking. If it's not fun, you need to somehow make it more fun. Has to be a very important thing that you track. And it needs to be fun for the people you're working with. You need to remember that.